Get ready, because it's the TacoTuesday.com podcast.
All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the TacoTuesday.com podcast. Today, we are joined by John Szabo, an OC creative, writer, filmmaker, has dabbled in some acting, and has been doing this most of his life. This podcast is brought to you by Melissa's Produce, as well as Tequila Herradura. Special shout out to Waterloo, as always. And this awesome spread that we have, once again, is brought to you by Chella's. It is $60, feeds 4 to 6 people, perfect for parties, any sort of events, or if you just want to have have a nice taco kit with the family.
And for podcasts.
We recommend it for podcasts. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I was thinking, nobody's against tacos. You never have like taco protesters or human rights organizations, anti-taco. It's a great name and theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if there were people like that, we would kick them right out of the building.
Yeah, I've never seen tacos like been trending on, I'm not calling it X, trending on Twitter in like a negative way.
Yeah, it doesn't usually.
And I was also thinking, with all the chaos in the world, if everybody had a taco at the same time, which means some people would have to agree to have a taco at 4 in the morning or 3, I think it would contribute partly to possibly some kind of world peace. Everyone happy at the same instant.
If only you could strong arm the world into doing something like that. But alas, we're all humans. So, John, I guess I'll start with your beginnings. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, first memories of like creative inspiration, or how this kind of came to you?
I was born on June 20th, 1962, and I'm going to spend about 5 minutes on each day of my life, so we'll be here for about 4 days.
Perfect.
Just kidding. I'll jump cut to my father immigrated from Budapest, Hungary, my mom from Montreal. Both of them are Hungarian. Mm-hmm. And my father was an amateur filmmaker. I didn't think of it that way when I was a kid, but he had not just 8mm projectors, but he had a cutting station, and he would sort of cut different parts of film up and put in a reaction shot from somebody and edit it all and have a little film. And I got into it from him, and he was very into photography too. And Hungarians have a bit of a background in film, and so that was kind of an early inspiration. And then my mother, when I look back, I kind of look at a little bit like Lucy Ricardo. She was always joking and kidding around and doing things to make us laugh. So I think I got the film from him and the joke from him, although the joking from her. But my father also jokes a lot. I remember when I was a kid, there were people on the bluff above Corona del Mar, and they were pushing these massive tires, those big tires. They're workout guys, and they're all dressed in military outfits, and a military guy's yelling at them. And my dad said, "I wonder what they did wrong." And he was serious, and he said, "This is like the Russian Gulag," and he compared it to Solzhenitsyn. I didn't know who that was at the time. One of them overheard it and said, "No, it's paid. We're paying that guy to make us do this." So they both had senses of humor.
Nice.
And they're both still alive, and they're 90 and very healthy. And I have a younger sister, Joanne, and an older sister, Diane. And I'm very close to both of them. I'm blessed to have them in my life.
Nice.
Good.
That's awesome.
So you are in the process of filming Awkwardly Yours, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. Whatever you can tell us.
Sure. And by the way, everything you've said about me so far sounds great. I wonder where you got this information. And did you? I just went into AI, and it just made up a bunch of stuff about me. But I'll go with it.
Oh, cool.
Just kidding.
No, I'm just pulling these out of the old brain.
So yeah, Awkwardly Yours is a TV series that I've come up with, and I've written, and we're filming the trailer right now and the first pilot episode. Why make small talk when you can make people uncomfortable instead? And it's about a character who is atheist that converts to Judaism just to get more days off from work, because Jews have so many days off, and also to get out of social engagements.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's a strategy. That is a strategy.
I like that. That's fun. I mean, obviously, in the process of starting a film, undertaking a filming project like this is never a small thing. I consider myself a creative with photography, with writing and things like that. And I respect that process a lot. How did you come up with that? Like that specifically? Because first of all, it's hilarious, objectively hilarious. But how did the whole process kind of get underway to creating it?
So that's a really good question because it's been compared a little bit, and Steve Leaf, one of the early writers of Curb, is sort of helping me with the project a bit as a bit of a mentor. And it is kind of my life. I play myself, and I play an exaggerated version of myself. So what that means is, would I really start smoking cigars to get off my addiction to the nicotine patch? No, but that's what the character does. Would I really go on an all red meat diet where I just eat raw red meat 24 hours a day because I accidentally ate a piece of kale? Probably not, but the character does that. And people ask me, like, where do I get my ideas in that? And I would say, okay, let's say there's a pastry shop and it's Friday and there's 10 people in line and they only have 9 pastries and you want to get a pastry. Well, I stood in front of a line like that the other day in LA and I thought, well, what if I paid the homeless guy who isn't bound to a wheelchair because he keeps getting in and out of it in different situations. I've observed him now for about an hour. What if I paid him to borrow his wheelchair and I just wheeled to the front of the line? Now, I wouldn't do that, but that's what the character does. And then he gets to the front of the line and he can't just buy one pastry. He has to buy all 10. So then the crowd turn against him. He's not, and what he turns around to try to get away and the wheelchair breaks. So he's screwed now. So the homeless guy comes up to him and starts negotiating. For $500, I'll push you away from this scene. And then, of course, he gets in an argument. He actually gets in a fight with the homeless guy, stands up in front of everybody all of a sudden and fights this guy. And the next thing you know, on the news, on the 5 o'clock news, what kind of a person pays someone to borrow their wheelchair to cut in line? So that's where I come up with ideas. I see things, and then I'll spin them into things.
Nice. That's fun.
That is, wow. What a situation that would be in. Hey, man, I need to borrow your wheelchair real quick. Dude, I'm starving. To a homeless guy.
I like that.
And I don't really write jokes. I write situations. I write conflicts. I write stories. The things that happen in my film and in most of my writing are stories. Jokes would be like, what's the best way to make a taco stand? Take away his chair. Or what did the tortilla fortune teller say? Let's talk about the future. Or another really bad joke would be, what do religious taco families say before eating? Let us pray. So I don't do that. I tell more jokes. And even comedy is conflict-based because if you go to a restaurant, I was in Avra, a Greek restaurant in LA, and Leonardo DiCaprio was there with somebody else who was famous. I don't recognize some famous person, and everyone was looking at them. And then all of a sudden, 2 just average schmucks like me got in a huge argument with the waiter, and all the attention turned to them. Everybody likes drama and conflict. It doesn't matter if Leonardo DiCaprio is there. If a real argument breaks out between a waiter and 2 people, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Because it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
I love that. It reminds me of my apartment complex immediately. I have this one neighbor who, I don't even know her name, to be honest. I've lived next to her for like 7 years. Always screaming on the phone. Might have to record that and send it over to you for some material. It is really something.
An apartment complex is, that's ripe with material.
Oh, yeah.
There's a show on Netflix, I believe, called Love, about this younger couple that meet, and it's like 7 or 8 episodes, and it's about all the different people in their complex.
John, I wanted to ask you, you've done a lot of writing. You're wearing an LA Times hat. Did you write for the Times, or can you explain the hat?
I did, and I want to mention, with Awkwardly Yours, Jill Aris is the very talented person who's going to play my wife. She's a theater background, more theater than TV. She plays my wife, and then just like a lot of people have done, I do cast people as themselves. So my younger sister, Joanne, plays my younger sister. My nephew, Jacob, who is a wonderful kid, a freshman in high school, the best kid you'd ever meet, but I turned him into a little more acerbic version of himself in the film. So I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, the hat's important. So I want to take the hat off to show everybody that I am wearing a skin toupee. So I have a full head of hair, but I thought it would be nice to look bald for the show. So this is just a fake bald thing. Actually, it's important to take your hat off if you're bald when you meet a woman for the first time. Mm-hmm. You don't want to meet a woman like this, right? And then you meet her for the first time and you're like this, or what would be the second time.
Yeah.
So I want to be authentic and sort of boast about my baldness. And I love being bald. I have a reasonably shaped head, as you can see. No craters. I'm kind of lucky with that. And I used to work, I worked a little bit, did some writing for the LA Times early on when I was like 21, 22. I went to UC Irvine and then went to Indiana University and got an MFA in journalism at Indiana University.
Nice. And
the first story I did for the LA Times could have been written today. The headline was "Overwhelming Stress Affects College Students." That was in 1988.
Yeah, we really turned the corner on that, haven't we?
It's interesting too because I mean, today we are probably more comfortable. Things are more convenient than they've ever been. We have every reason, theoretically, to be happier, but yet the younger people seem to be more and more depressed and stressed out.
Not eating enough tacos.
Not eating enough tacos, and I think unfettered internet access at age 6 and beyond.
Use.
It's kind of like a science experiment. No other generation besides this new generation right now has grown up with iPads, cell phones, internet. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully they can cheer up a little bit.
And I'm guilty of, and I think this is important, I'll Google like some of the leading filmmakers today, and you'll see that they suffer from depression because they don't feel they're accomplished enough. They haven't done anything in the last year. They've done 10 films before that. And I can get caught up in that. I can go onto Facebook and I'll see, okay, my film won this award. This Sea Monkeys film won the Grand Festival at the Berkeley Film Festival. Well, why didn't it win an award that 5 other people won at Sundance? Or why didn't this? So I think it's important to enjoy the process of creation. It's kind of like Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. You have to live in the moment. And I'm very guilty of not doing that. I've had, I've had anxiety in my life where I regret the past and worry about the future. I'm getting better at it. But it's important as a creative to enjoy the process, enjoy coming up with ideas and writing. And what happens with it. You have to hustle as a creative. People think creative people are not business people or they're super sensitive, which I can be sensitive. But you have to be able to take rejection from 20 people. So, yeah, and just kind of keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's a really important part in any creative process of just continuing to go and that kind of constant grind and not getting stuck. And I mean, I suffer with, imposter syndrome and things like that in the writing spaces. And I know there's the good days and the bad days, but just continuing to go and continuing to create. And you've been nice enough to bring, so this is a book that you published, this thing we call Love, which I tried to get into the camera so people can see it and check it out on their own. Can you talk about this a little bit too?
Absolutely. And I was going to say, with imposter syndrome, I just surround myself with very low achievers. If you surround yourself with people who are doing nothing,
why I go to dive bars.
Yeah. If you surround your life with people who are just achieving nothing and failing at everything, you'll always feel a little bit better about yourself. Yeah.
I got to get some worse friends. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, my stupid overachieving friends, man, bumming me out.
Yeah. So this is, this is the book here. Mm-hmm. And this is, I think, my strongest form of creativity. I'm a short story writer. And I write about, really, I think, everybody's universal need for love, for being accepted, for being understood. There's absolutely some big-time comedy in here, but a lot of it's also pretty pretty serious emotional relationships between men and women, based on a lot of my relationships with women. On the front, I got a review that just said, a fresh and entertaining story collection about love and the unpredictable complexity of human relationships take the reader on a personal journey of self-discovery. And I think with stories, a lot of times it's okay to end a story ambiguously. I don't end a lot of my stories with, a nice ribbon. I want people to kind of understand, okay, in one of these stories, a man and a woman who have been together for a long time have a big argument in a supermarket and then kind of just go their own ways at the end. And you don't really know, are they going to meet each other out front? Is it over? So I like that ambiguity in storytelling.
And kind of letting people kind of decide for themselves where they think it goes and things like that.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I was going to possibly read. Can I read just really briefly from this?
Yeah,
I think, go for it.
So the rest of this interview will be me reading for 90 minutes. So the talking communication between us has ended. So this is This Thing We Call Love, and then the book is called This Thing We Call Love. On Highway 15, just before Barstow, halfway to Vegas, Peter reached a difficult but certain conclusion. He had yet to fall in love with Joyce. He despised the term, but nonetheless questioned if he had found his soulmate. He enjoyed being with her, celebrating milestones like this, their 5th anniversary, but he struggled with why he was not, at least by his internal barometer, in love. His shrink told him he was overthinking. That's the beginning of that story. And I find relationships I've had with women are filled with ambiguity.
I can agree with that. I really need to take smaller bites of these tacos.
The tacos are really good, yeah. Yeah, and then I was in a very bad motorcycle accident about 10 years ago, and I woke up on the ground with my right leg at a complete 90-degree angle. So it was a compound fracture between the knee and the ankle. And so I have a rod now between my knee all the way down to my ankle, and that turned into a story that I wrote, and also a lesson about I'm in no pain today and doing fine. I was very lucky. A surgeon came in and looked at it, and my sister said, just tapped out. He looked at it and he's like, yeah, this is too difficult. I'm out. And he didn't come back. And then a helicopter landed on the roof of Hogue, and a guy came in that looked like a young Ernest Hemingway, Dr. Nicholas Yaru. And he came in and he touched me on the shoulder, and I was still out of it. I was in extreme pain, obviously. Yeah. And he kind of pushed me, and I woke up, and he said, my name's Dr. Nicholas Yaru. Your leg is fucked up, and I live for this stuff. He said, I live for this. And I said, who are you? And he goes, do you follow football? And I go, yeah. He goes, I'm chief orthopedic surgeon for the San Diego Chargers. And that's who he was. And he was there for what he called a very kind of trivial kind of surgery. And I was this thing that he was really excited about. And it was amazing. I was like very just confident that, wow, this is going to work out. And then I ended up getting MRSA and almost have my leg amputated. But the bottom line is it all worked out. It all worked out.
San Diego Chargers surgeon. So your 40 time has improved then.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That's good.
I don't think I'd be stoked at my doctor saying, this is really fucked up. I'm excited. Maybe the excited part would be good, but, like I know when my leg is broken in half that it's fucked up, so you didn't need to kind of throw that in there, but yeah.
These guys have I think you have it in athletes, you have it in some artists. They do have a certain conviction of their confidence in something.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he had. I was going to read the first paragraph of the story about the motorcycle accident.
Yeah, please do.
For it. Hippocrates is the name of it. The air smelled of salt water, musty, swampy, wet mud, damp cattails and sea lavender. Long-beaked birds left tiny footprints on the skin on the thin skin-like clay surface that covered the more shallow water near the banks as they fed on snails. Snowy white birds, mallard ducks dotted the swampland, and a few large spotted bass splashed clear out of the water. Pebbles crunched under Michael's tires, leaving a small dust cloud. Every evening at sunset, he rode his motorcycle along the rural dirt road lining the estuary which led to the nearby Pacific Ocean. Cruising slowly, he filled his lungs with the aroma of chaparral, peppermint, and wild jasmine.
And that's going to lead to a horrific bike crash? That was just beautiful scenery.
I know. I know.
Yeah, it was excellent description.
Yeah.
Really painted an image, but of like
up leg, but
no broken in half
that
legs.
just sounds peaceful.
But you know what? Isn't that life? In an instant, something can change. In an instant.
Yeah.
I was in this
that's true.
idyllic world, and I was on my motorcycle, which I loved. My motorcycle was kind of what I did every evening to decompress. I would go to some wildlife areas. I'd go up PCH, whatever. That was my complete me time to just chill out. And I worked on it, and I got, I put on these custom pipes that did this, and I got an air horn that sounded like a truck, and all this crazy stuff. And then, boom, I woke up, completely smashed up from a woman who ran through a red light.
Of course.
That's crazy. So she smashed into the side of you, or did you smash into?
She T-boned me. She ran through the red light and T-boned me. Pretty close to where I live. I live in Big Canyon in Newport Beach, very close to Big Canyon. A lot of motorcycle accidents take place right near your home when you least expect it.
Yeah. They say like most accidents or like most people get pulled over like right near their house or something like that.
Yeah, in residential areas. I actually have had 2 cars totaled because people have T-boned 2 of my cars. And then another one of my cars somebody stole and flipped upside down on the 605.
Well, that's just rude.
It was rude. So, yeah. I have an interesting vehicle luck myself.
Remind me never to get in a car with you.
You don't, yeah.
And you know what's out of control today? I grew up with when I was 14, I got my first motorcycle, a Honda XR75. Just to go back to 1975-ish in Orange County, you could drive a motorcycle from Turtle Rock and Irvine to Laguna and back, and you could make a game out of having police chase you. They were called sheep jeeps, and they would chase us. And we had wire cutters, and we cut a space in the barbed wire and then marked it with red paint. So we always had an exit. We'd go through the barbed wire. And then one day they chased us, and there were like 3 of them. And I'm like, wow, they're really on us today. And we got to our little escape route, and it had been soldered shut. And they had sprayed the red paint gray, the color of the barbed wire. So we couldn't get out. And then I didn't have the motorcycle after that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know a lot of creatives, they kind of look at the world around them, and that's where they get a lot of like different inspiration and ideas and things like that. And living out here in Southern California, do you kind of find yourself doing that same thing, looking around you and suddenly getting pulled in different directions? Whether it's like inspiration for projects or things like that?
100%. So I was at a hipster coffee shop in Echo Park. All of them are hipster coffee shops
just
there.
coffee shop. Yeah.
And it was in Cafe Intelligentsia. I'm not sure. Yeah. And I tipped him, but I wanted to get credit for the tip. I want him to be looking at me when I tip. If he turns his back and I put $1 in the tip jar, I'm screwed. That's a wasted $1. I don't get any, good vibe from him.
That's Costanza, Paisanos. That's,
there we go.
straight
Okay.
up. Yeah, that's
So
a
I
Seinfeld
put
moment.
$1 in, and he turned around, and I was kind of irritated. So he turned back around, and right in front of him, I kind of did a dramatic tip. I put the hand up, but I realized I had put a $50 bill in the tip jar. So I'm like, this is a situation now. What would you do?
No.
Before I tell you what happened, what would you do?
Really? Well, I'm a pretty abrasive guy, so right away I would be like, whoops, accidentally put a 50 in there, meant to put a 1, make sure you're making eye contact with me, and then I would mic drop with deep eye contact, I think would be my move.
I'd like to say that, it's a 50. I'd like to say that I would get the 50 back. For the 50, I would. I think if I did the same thing, but with like a 20, I think I would just I don't do well with confrontations, so I think I would just suck that one up and just eat that one. But, yeah. But I am curious to see where it goes.
So I said to him, I'm so sorry that I just put that 50 in. And he goes, a lot of people around here tip 50s. So I knew it was done. I couldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you're out at that point, you're like, oh, okay.
I go the other way. I'm like, well, I'm not a lot of people.
I'll be like, there are a million coffee shops, so I am good.
Yep. So then how do I spin that into something? That's a scene actually we're going to film. He puts the 50 in, and right away the guy yells, this guy's stealing our tips. There's nobody lower than somebody who steals tips from a tip jar from a coffee shop.
For sure.
So I take the 50 out in my mind, and I replace it with a 5 and let him know this is still way more than I would usually tip, and I walk out. That evening on the news, the lead story is what kind of a person steals tips from a coffee shop, and it has me on the news with this grainy black video, but it has a decent picture of my face. If anybody knows this guy, please call the police.
It would beat on your chin.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
Yep, you got
The tacos are very good, by the way. This is like authentic quality, high quality guacamole, and
Yeah. No, they take care of us over here at TacoTuesday.com podcast.
I'm really cheap, kind of, by the way, so I usually don't even get the guacamole because it's usually like a lot extra.
Yeah, but it also, I think, completes the meal, especially when you're going with Mexican food. You can pretty much add guac to anything to improve it.
Yeah.
And so I'm a guac guy.
Yeah, I'm a guac guy.
So I have to ask you guys, because I don't know, what makes a good taco?
Well, that's actually pretty simple. It's the amount of joy that taco brings you in that moment. And if it doesn't bring you joy, first of all, I probably wouldn't hang out with you. And you don't have a refined palate, I would say.
I thought you were just going to be honest and be like, it starts with the tortilla. Like great tortillas. It's like pasta. You got to start with great ingredients. But I just love that you just went straight down the emotional hole.
I
You
wanted
just
to
Marie
tell
Kondo
people.
the shit out of that. Does it
Yeah.
spark joy? Because if it doesn't, get the fuck out.
Well, what can I say?
Have you been to that
fair.
giant Mexican supermarket that opened in Costa Mesa?
Yeah. So
That thing's ridiculous.
for people that are watching this that are from out of state, in Costa Mesa, we have something called Northgate Mercado.
Unbelievable.
And it's basically, think like a super big grocery store, but also inside of it, there's 11 different, I think they're called puestos. Yeah, it's a massive market, and it is Disneyland for food. It's
unbelievable.
amazing. Yeah.
The tamales, just the tamale station is like 10 giant steel vats of steam coming out, and they have like a sweet prune tamale for dessert. And then, of course, they have like 3 different types of pork, and it's very authentic. I brought a friend of mine there who's Mexican, was born there, and he went there with me, and he said, this is pretty legit. This is pretty close to how the chickens are flat, like a giant anvil or something. Squish them flat, and they're just juicy, and it's totally affordable.
Yeah.
It's a
Middle
good
and
deal.
I
we're,
think.
we're really lucky to have it here. Actually, whenever I'm in like creative ruts, I'll go there because there's just so much going on. It like sensory overloads, and it's just like hard resets the system.
And I'm sorry I didn't let you guys talk more. I felt like I talked too much.
This,
but no?
this platform
Okay.
is for you. So
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
Nobody
wind-
wants to
we'll
know what
wind
I
this
have to say.
No. Why are we even here? Yeah.
Are you guys real, or was this all AI?
Who knows?
It was all, yeah. I'm not even talking to you. It was just,
It's a halo, something,
Yeah.
something.
well, it's been an interesting conversation to say the least. Where can people find more about you, projects you're working on?
Thanks for asking. Everybody can mail only cash, $100. Just kidding. It's awkwardlyyoursfilm.com.
Okay.
And that'll tell you everything about my project. And we're going to have the trailer up very soon with Jill Aris, who plays my wife, and my sister, Joanne Majouet, who plays my sister, and her son, my nephew, Jacob, who plays him. And I have other friends that play certain roles. And then I have actors I've hired. Jill is a professional actor I hired to play my wife for that role.
Nice.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, this has been a real pleasure.
So, I guess we're going to wrap things up here, everyone. Don't forget to check out TacoTuesday.com for all of your taco and your podcast needs. Happy Taco Tuesday. Cheers.
Bye, Z's.